Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say a big welcome to another fascinating edition of the program Ashford Garley Live on British Radio Africa. Today is, in fact, the 17th of November, 2023. As always, Father God, want to give you praise. Want to say thank you. Want to magnify your name. Blessed be your holy name forever, Lord Jesus. We thank you for Liberia. Thank you for the people of Liberia. Thank you for President-elect of the Republic of Liberia, the Honorable Joseph Newman Boyka. Thank you for the outgoing President, Mr. George Weah. I pray for the family and the families of the countless amount of our brothers and sisters in Liberia. In the name of Jesus, we have given thanks. Some heard the name, some heard people talk about them. You've gotten the opportunity tonight to match the name, face, and voice, the mastermind, the doctor of love, the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of radio, Africa's media doobie-doo extraordinaire. Jira situ pa yege jabon plo da na je ko me o kire ji ye ore no muzu ni won je madobo to jirai ayo ade wapo. He doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. As for the giant, the now you know being garlic. Welcome, folks. Tonight is very special. Please begin sharing the video like you've already started doing. Invite friends, relatives, and loved ones. We have a lot of folks on here tonight. Some of my old friends who've watched the show on several occasions will be on the show tonight. This is a new day for Liberia. And I just want to say thanks to all of you, all of our regular viewers, our new viewers, first-time viewers. Want to say thanks. Again, begin sharing the video. Tell a friend and a friend. Your friends are not my friends, but this platform belongs to Liberia. And I want you to please join us as we grow with the new administration. Welcome. And let me begin with my co-host, Mrs. Letty Brooks Roberts. Mrs. Roberts, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mr. Garley. How are you?
Better than good.
Good. All hail, Liberia Hill. Welcome to another exciting Friday, fantastic Friday edition of Bridge Radio Africa with your host, Ashford, the Giant Garley. Welcome to our array of panelists as we bring you the issues that matter. Welcome. Back to you, Mr. Garley.
Thank you. And at this time, I also like to say welcome to a very astute brother, professional in the game, broadcast journalist, turned nurse practitioner. We are talking about Dr. James T. Fisk. Dr. Fisk, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashford, and I would like to say greetings to my other panelists. Those are here now and those that will be coming. And I just want to invite everyone in listening and viewing land to another explosive edition of Ashford Garley Live with British Radio Africa. Thank you.
Okay, I also like to say welcome to a friend and brother, the Reverend Idatus Added. Welcome to the show, bro.
Well, greetings to everyone. Greetings to all of you wonderful panelists and all of our Liberian brothers and sisters watching from Liberia and these United States. It's such a pleasure to be here once more. God bless you.
Okay, that's the voice of Idatus Added. And I also like to say welcome to a businessman, a professional broadcast journalist, a producer, and a multi-talented young man. Please join me in as he appears for the first time on British Radio Africa, Mr. Ameka Obiamiwe. Welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, Astro? And I see doctors are smiling back there. What's up, Reverend?
God is good, man. God is good.
Tonight we
God is good.
Old time religion.
It's a joy to be here.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Affairs.
Yeah.
Well, as we begin the show tonight, I want to play the very special song. This song was produced by our own Liberian big sister, the mother. The name is Miata Famule, and she calls this song The Message. Take a listen.
Let the old and the young come together as one as we start on this new road to realize our goal in a land where peace and justice shall be the right of every man. In a land where peace and justice shall be the right of every man. Let no tribe or tongue divide. Our heritage is one. Let our aims and dreams unite. Our destiny is one. Let's build a new society with respect and unity. Let's build a new society with respect and unity.
And that's right. That's the voice of the lovely Queen. Miata Family making her presence known tonight. Again, folks, if you just joining us, we'd like to say a big welcome to a very fresh, brand new edition of the program ASHFORD GARLEY Live from British Radio Africa. Tell friends, relatives, and loved ones to please join us tonight as we come to you with this very special edition of the program ASHFORD GARLEY Live. And tonight's program has been brought to you by Mr. Stephen Blama Musa, aka Gucci. Gucci is, in fact, the sponsor for the entire 2 hours tonight. He's a businessman, and he will join us shortly in a phone conversation. He has passion for Liberia. He has passion for the people of Liberia. So, Mr. Stephen Blama Musa, aka Gucci, is our special sponsor. He's sponsoring the program tonight. And folks, let us get straight into it. We have a list of items here that we want to cover tonight. The government, the UP government, first 100 days. Number 2, job creation across Liberia. The vision to building a solid foundation on electricity and energy for Liberia's future to support each sector of the economy. Then we'll go on to building the national electric power grid. We'll also talk about how to attract the Liberian diaspora, the USA, Canada, EU for investment in Liberia. And then we'll talk about reconciliation of the nation and people. I want us to begin with the last one, reconciliation for the nation and people. And I will ask the co-host, Madam Letty Brooks Roberts, to open up in this segment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Garley. Good evening, my brother. Welcome as your first time here on Bridge Radio Africa. And before I begin that, Mr. Garley, I'd just like to read this. When freedom raised her glory form on Matsurado's verdant height, she sat within the dome of night, midst lowering skies and thunderstorm, the star of liberty, and season from the waking morn. its burnished shield of golden flame. She lifted it in her proud name and roused a nation long forlorn to noble destiny. The lone star is forever. Amidst all that has happened, amidst all of the bickering, amidst all of our differences, it's time for reconciliation. So we want to say, firstly, congratulations to our president-elect, Mr. Joseph Numa Borkai. As stated, after we have already bickered over whose party or whose candidate was the better, today we have come, the voice of the people is the voice of Liberia. So this is the time that we all put our differences aside and begin the holistic reconciliation process. And may I add, that begins with the opposing party and the the current president who is now leaving, but it's incumbent upon him to lead this charge of reconciliation as they shake hands. I know he said that he's still the president until the mantle has been passed. However, he has to lead his partisans and the whole country to emerge or merge with the
Thank you.
new president. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Roberts, and let us please be cognizant of the time tonight. And sorry, I didn't say that from the outset of the show. That is, please observe our 2 minutes rule. The Reverend
I'll begin
Idatus,
the timer.
okay, please do that. The Reverend Idatus, please take your 2 minutes as we talk about reconciliation for the people and nation.
Well, first of all, I want to, congratulate once more the Honorable Joseph Imamboyka. I want to also extend heartfelt gratitude to the President of Liberia, current President, His Excellency Ambassador George Weah, for extending his congratulatory message to the Honorable Joseph Boyka. I also want to thank Seditians for the great comportment. Having heard these results, the role their leader played in calming them down. I also want to thank the Honorable Joseph Imamboyka and the Unity Partisans, who also have been able to be very calm in the midst of these elections, and all of the 20 political party leaders who participated in these elections. I think Liberia has quite frankly demonstrated its ability to be democratically transparent and mature in our much more fragile democracy. Having said that, Ashford, it is important for all of us, as we celebrate victoriously, to begin to foster the path to healing and uniting our nation under God indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We certainly know that every Liberian has a role to play. Churches have a role to play in this process. Professionals, Liberians in the diaspora have a role to play. So the campaign is quite frankly over. It is time for us to think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia, building on the clear path to reconciliation, where the venomous politics we all practice can now be looked at in a way that facilitates healing, so that we can all, be able to find ourselves in the very Liberia that we love, that we call one nation, one people, one destiny, in the words of CDC. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we want to go to Dr. James T. Fisk. Dr. Fisk, take your tour, please.
Yeah, when I keep hearing reconciliation, I try to understand in practical sense, what does it mean? Was post George Weah election, does it mean George Weah doesn't get audited, just the same way he did not audit Ellen Johnson's Sirleaf and tried to use that as an excuse to be corrupt towards the Liberian people, which is why he was kicked out of office? Is that the definition?
Hell no, that's not my definition when you talk.
No, I'm not saying you.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking out loud.
Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Is that what we mean by reconciliation? Or do we mean that at the end of the day, the fact that people have been building houses overnight will not go after money that, if it's investigated to be stolen, that it be returned to the Liberian people? Is that what we're talking about? We're talking about the fact that George Weah launched a campaign trying to divide Liberians on the basis of those who are Liberians and non-Liberians. You have people coming on this particular air saying that Congo people are not native-born citizens. So what the reconciliation, what are we talking about? Are we talking about Joseph Boakai finally coming out and said, no, Liberia don't have 16 tribes. Liberia actually have 17, including the Congo tribe. So that the next election, you don't have people coming up and saying, oh, because somebody belonged to the Congo tribe, so don't vote for them. So what kind of reconciliation are we talking about? Because if we have to move we have to move Liberia forward as one nation. In other words, people are defined on the basis of tribe. So everybody must belong to a tribe. At the end of the day, people must understand that the power belongs to the people. If you can't steal resources from the people like Akara's great using $95,000 in France and leaving his constituents to hang dry, then you must know you will be audited and you'll be put to jail for stealing from the people. The 6 years is not a right, nor is 12. It's a privilege. And it is about time, if we talk about a new day and the period of reconciliation, how do you bring people from the diaspora if we have not reconciled who is a Liberian and who is not a Liberian in terms of native and non-native and the rest of it? So there's a lot of work to be done, and the sooner we get that done realistically, the better for the country. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now bring in my friend and brother as we discuss reconciliation and the people of Liberia, Ameka Obiamiwe. Welcome as you make your debut on British Radio Africa.
You know, Dr. Jamal T. Fix just said it all, and I know I see Datu.
Oh, Dr. Fix is on the line. It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, and the reality of it all is, let's call a spade a spade. A wrong was done. Before we go forward, we have to fix this wrong. We have to address the situations of what happened. There will be reconciliation. For me, you know, my father, Igbo man. So I believe in money, power, and respect. And in that case, we have to now look at how we can love Liberia. And it starts with us loving each other. But those who wrong Liberia, we shouldn't say, like, I remember when Akon came to Liberia for the Light Project, and there was a talent show. And then it went on, everybody's a winner. Akon was pissed off because you know why? He had dealt with Liberians before. And Akon said, everybody is not a winner. There must be losers and there must be winners. So losers can work hard to win. So in a situation, as we discuss reconciliation, let's look at how we can reconcile. All of us on the show tonight can reconcile with ourselves. Because to go forward, we need reconciliation. But at the same time, let's call a spade a spade. Some people got to be hindered. Let's talk about how we can prosecute people. People did wrong to that country. We can always be put in for Liberian men can say, let's leave it for God, baby. Never again. This cancer that raised this country for 6 years must never happen. Or else let's forget about Liberia because our children will never be able to live there.
Thank you, Ameka. Reverend Josephine Marshall.
Everybody. Yeah, hi, everybody. I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead. We're talking about reconciliation in Liberia.
Well, good evening, everyone. First of all, I just want to give God awesome thank you for a new dawn, a new day in Liberia. God is awesome. To everyone, the Liberians, I want to say thank you. And I think Dr. Fiskudi has said it any better, and Ameka. Yes, we do need reconciliation because first of all, Liberia, I would say 99% of Liberians still need counseling. Okay, since the war, people never got counseling. And we need to work. We need to come together and work. And like they say, yes, we need to start from somewhere. Because basically one of my things when people always say that, oh, Topman did it, Topa did it. So, CDC doing the same thing. Where will we remove that person did it and start as a new day? And so George Weah did not audit. That was what he did in his time. But at this time and season, yes, reconciliation is good, but we need to hold people accountable. And so we will be looking at this government. As much as we love this government, we will be looking at this government moving forward, and glad that the Liberian people spoke. And so we'll be looking at them moving forward to see what is going to happen if these people are going to come to justice for what they have done to Liberia. And moving forward, meaning that once they do that, others will follow. So if you think that because someone was in the government and stealing thousands and millions of dollars, we're going to do the same, no, it's not going to happen. And indeed, this government that is sitting right now, that is leaving, needs to be audited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Andre George Williams.
I thank you so much. I thank you so much for inviting me on today. It's lovely to see the Right Reverend Idatu's here and Dr. Fitz. And of course, your co-host, my best friend. I like teasing her. She know who she is. I will just leave it at that. But I'm happy to be here, and I'm very excited about the results. Specifically because of Jeremiah Kuhn. I told you this before, and I'm not a tribalist. I told you this once, and most people on your show at the time when I mentioned this, they accused me of being a tribalist. And one thing I want to say is I'm not Gio or Mano, as a matter of fact. On my father's side, I am Gola. My father is associated with the Williams. So I'm not, it's my mother who is the daughter of Dr. Alfred Kula, the late Dr. Alfred Kula, and relatives with Bishop Arthur Kula. So I am not directly Mano based on bloodline. But Dr. Fitz, you on your last show that I was on, mentioned about giving somebody a red card. And I believe that person got a red card. They got a red card. It was issued to them. Dismissal is officially happening to George Weah. And I couldn't be happier because of what the young lady just spoke about as far as audit. But one thing I want to stress, as for the Liberia Peace and Reconciliation Committee was established specifically to eradicate some of the gruesome crime that was committed.
You got 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I have a friend as well as you, a common friend in Lloyd Scott, who has a backstory that's associated with Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson is a savior to me. Prince Johnson is somebody who rescued me during the war and my family, Dr. Alfred Kula. So the Peace and Reconciliation Committee is needed, and the constitution of that committee needs to be paid attention to going forward. That's all I will say for now as the panel goes around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, folks, if you just joining us, we'd like to say hello to welcome. At this time, we'd like to say hello to our sponsor. The program is being sponsored tonight. I want to say kudos to the Liberian people. For the first time, we hit 10,000 people watching. Let us say a big thank you to our sponsor. The name is Stephen Blama Musa, aka Gucci. Gucci, you will have 2 minutes to tell us your interest in British Radio and why you are here tonight. Mr. Sponsor, thank you for your sponsorship. We appreciate you. And go ahead and speak.
Well, hello, Liberian people. First of all, I want to say thank you to both parties for a peaceful election. It was very transparent. Despite all the difficulties that both parties went through, we were able to reconcile with a winning party. We bless God for a peaceful election, and now we have to move forward. We have to work together. Both parties have to work together for unity for the Liberian people. I'm a young Liberian, and I have interest in my country. I believe that my country is one of the best countries in West Africa. But in doing so, we have to work together genuinely, peacefully, and with respect and prosperity to move forward. You know, we have to really share knowledge. We have to share notes. So we are party have to share notes with Unity Party. They have to just work together for the best of our own people. We don't have to fight. We don't have to argue. We don't have to have bad energy, for each other. We just have to stay focused and move forward. You know, Mr. Gotti, at this time, I think it's very important that you have me on this platform as a young Liberian and a businessman. I know I'm very honored to be on your show and also to give my insight about, the government. I'm not big into politics. I'm more into business. But, at the same time, we had a businessman, Donald Trump, that ran in America and won. So that being said, I believe that Mr. Boyka would be a better candidate for the Liberian people. He would do his best, and he would try his best, But in doing so, the following party that's leaving, the present party that's in stage, George Weah, will have to work alongside with the old man. And the only way we can do that is put all the argument, all the yelling aside and work together. My Liberian people, I thank you for the peaceful election and transparency. I'm just a young Liberian in Texas, United States, and I got interest in my country. Thank you very much.
Well, Gucci, just before you go, I want you to promise these 10,000 people that are watching tonight that today you are sponsoring this show, and you are by far the first Liberian who have paid this kind of money for a sponsorship. I want you to promise me, I know you expressed the interest in investing into British Radio. Promise me, since you don't know anything about radio, like what happened in 2017 when we went through the election, I introduced Ostender Waterspoon the radio. Today the man came, he couldn't go to the microphone. Now the man got the microphone. So promise me that you will not come and say, let me buy you out of British Radio. So are you okay with that? I did your watch, right?
Mr. Gotti, you know how much respect I got for you since day one, since the day I met you. I respect what you do. I will contribute to every greatness that you work forward to. I'll work hard to help as best I can as a young man. And I will never hang my coat around over your head. I always got respect for you, and it'll always be like that. I'm very humble, and my respect for you and every elderly Liberian people, or even older American people, anybody for that matter. My respect goes very high with. I have a high gratitude and high respect for people like you.
Thank you.
There's nothing to worry about. You got my 400% support. Whatever I got to do on my side with the youth team in America, we got your back, man.
And by the way, folks, I met Gucci in 2015. We worked on the oil field in Williston, North Dakota. Very humble young man. I mean, he's about 31, 32 years old. When he left the oil field, he went into some other businesses, and today he's one of the hardest working businessmen. I mean, all kinds of businesses, all from trucking, to investment in real estate, and this young man is doing it. He has interest in Liberia. He wants to see the young people of Liberia employed. And Gucci, I want to say a big thanks to you again for appearing, and thanks for your sponsorship.
Thank you, Mr. Gotti. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, my Liberian people. Congratulations with Mr. Joseph Boaka. Thank you.
Thank you, Gucci.
Thank you. We are talking reconciliation of Liberia and the people. We have Duke on here. Duke is a member of the ANC, and following the decision by his political leader to be neutral, even though some of the hierarchy within the party went to endorse a CDC. But Duke said, you know what? Liberia first. I am a man of my own. I think for myself, and I will make the right decision. He went on and endorsed Joseph Yuma Boyka. Reconciliation and the people, Duke. What are your thoughts?
The giant. Thanks, and thanks to British Radio. Look, I think we're at a pivotal point when it comes to Liberia. Where do I start from? Over the past 6 years, something has happened in our country, and it led us to the point that Liberians saw the need to be able to prioritize or reset. I was in Liberia for a month and a week, I believe, and I saw Liberia from a different perspective, and I think I politically became mature as well. And so part of my decision, was about country, was about the tough process, was about looking at the people, the conditions, and some of the same things that we've stood for on social media before becoming actively involved in politics. But I think we're at a point now wherein, uniting the country should be a focal point. Governments and labels, political party labels and colors does not really define the republic. And I think at this point in time, just understanding that the Unity Party has won an election, this is a key time for us to focus on moving the country forward and just making sure that we're not heading on the path that the CDC took. And so for me, uniting the country, a reconciliation should be a priority of the next government, because we have a divided country. And, those are the kind of message that we need to push forward to make sure that our people can, move the country together.
Thank you. And Reverend Idatus added, I know we are talking about reconciliation, and you heard my brother Ameka Obiamiwe. People need to be held accountable for some of the things they did to the country. So this reconciliation business, how are we going to go about this?
Yeah, so unfortunately, there was a misunderstanding when we talk about reconciliation. We're not suggesting that there will be no accountability. So people focus more on the accountability as opposed to recognizing that we just came from a very toxic relationships where Liberians went at each other during these times of political cynicism. And the vitriol of our politics certainly caused us to be divided. Let us not ignore that. So any leader who is coming now, such as the Honorable Vice President, President-elect Joseph Imaboyka, has a responsibility to bring us back together as a people, indivisible. Now, will we have everybody on board for the new Liberia to chart this new course? Might not all happen, and that is the beauty of democracy. But we don't want an institution called government that will further divide us along tribal lines, political biases and influences that, compromises the stability of our peace, the stability of our nation, the stability of our dignity as a people. We are certainly open to constructive opposition. But at the same time, in the words of the Honorable Joseph Imapoika, he is looking forward to building a government of inclusion, a government based on meritocracy, but of inclusion of those who are capable or are of different strides and stripes within our nation state to be able to serve for the greater good of the country. So let's be very clear. We're not saying reconciliation has no accountability. If there are things that have been done in the past government that in fact compromise the economic or socio-political progress of the nation, certainly those are things that need to be looked into. But let's be clear. These elections were very terrible. People insulted each other. People called names to each other, and people are still hurt. So let's give others time to heal. To our brothers and sisters of CDC, CCP, the Lino, all of the different parties, they will certainly love to be on board. And it is our responsibility as Liberians to be able to engage one another now to let us know that elections are over. Let's come together for the greater good of Liberia. Thank you.
Well, speaking about reconciliation, it starts with the outgoing president. He spoke today. Did you guys listen to the president today?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay. Now, what did you get from
And
from the president's speech? He concession speech today. I will begin with Dr. Fisk. Dr. Fisk, please unmute your microphone.
Yeah, the thing is, I didn't listen to the speech, but we have to understand that we've came from what, so many years of war, okay, where at the end of the day, people realize that okay, no one person has uh, uh, monopoly over coercion, and therefore you cannot, abrogate it onto yourself to say, okay, I'm the president of this country, whether you like it or not. Why it is true that at some point he decided to concede, we also have to understand that politically he had no choice. Okay, there are international actors who were also involved and understood the magnitude of what Liberians were involved and what Liberians have been engaged with. Okay, but long story short, it is good that he did whatever he said specifically. I don't know what the language was, but I will continue to say this, and I'm not saying that reconciliation does not take accountability into account. People need to come together and for the sake of peace. But at the same time, too, we also have to recognize that it is a responsibility that George Weah and Mr. Waka coming in, he has his responsibility as well. If George Weah didn't take his responsibility seriously, Mr. Waka has an opportunity to either take his responsibility seriously or not take his responsibility seriously, which is why I've always said and continue to say the outcome of this election is a win for Liberia because it makes the politicians to understand that their power actually derived from the Liberian people. And if you come and decide to use one more other the country to go watch your son football game while the the nation continue to be dirty and jobless, you're going to lose your own job as well. So I'm grateful for what has happened today.
Thank you. Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts, the president called on his partisans, and he's still talking about the Wiashen, the seditions, to come and put themselves together in readiness for 2029. What are your thoughts?
Well, while it is true that it was gracious of him to have conceded tonight, he could have done it tomorrow or days ahead, but he did it tonight, and that's a great thing. We'll give him props for that. And when again, yes, international people are involved, but he could also be stubborn, right? But he chose to follow, and be contrite. So in doing so, he did the right thing. The only thing that I did not like about his concession was injecting 2029. Because it's almost saying, I'm sorry, but nothing. You're sorry or you're not. So anyway, he should have just stuck to that, and but it's also for me, it's also a strategy to keep his base down, right? So by saying 2029, it's like we have another opportunity. So it's a way of quieting them down so that they are not as rowdy, because they were so sure they were going to get this opportunity to go another 6 years. And the Liberian people spoke, and we thank them.
America, somebody listening would say, I don't think the guy should even mention that he wants to come back in 2029 when, in fact, for 6 years, he did nothing for the country.
I would say this: if we want our children to live in Liberia, if we want to return to Liberia, we got to kill this cancer. What CDC is, listen, I'm not going to hide it. From 2005, as for we've been through this route. I saw put Mr. Sharif. I worked with the Unity Party team. I worked with the brand. I worked 2017 with the boycott brand. I've always seen CDC as a curse, as a cancer. And I was threatening, my life was threatening. People, even up to last week, Kwame Weeks, who I took care of, called me and threatened me, told me things. But the reality is, if we want this country to go forward, we got to call a spade a spade. What he said tonight, I listened to it. He's still trying to learn to speak and to pronounce. So for me, how I grew up, when we were growing up, and ASHFORD, our teachers told us listen to the radio to learn to speak better. And then when we listened to the president, it was a lot with Samuel Doe in 1980, because we know where he came from. But for a man who's been around the world and had exposure, and if you have lived abroad and you didn't know how to prepare yourself, but only to go and loot a country and destroy it, what he said tonight was jargon. He had no choice. He didn't say there would be an election. Like a soccer game, as a player, he know there had to be an election. He didn't say I had to concede. He had to concede. Exactly. So my man, tonight, I just think we should just celebrate a new day, a new wave, and get ready to deal with those bogart. Yes, way.
Yeah.
Today, let me cut before I 5 more minutes.
10 seconds.
Today, I was young when 1980 happened, the coup. Mm-hmm. But I remember that day, how the sky went dark when they killed us and taking people on the beach and everything. Because most of those folks, and I grew up with these people, families, and they were like families and uncles and the people I knew. Today, it happened in Liberia again. The sky went dark. Lightning fire in today. Today, God has shown that it's a new day. So tonight, as we're rounding up, I understand Reverend Josephine Marcher, you are Reverend, and Idatus. We will round up this show with a tirade, ASHFORD. We're going to have a tirade in the last 10 minutes of this show. Because we have to pull that keyboard. Let's go down religion. Yeah. Because this cancer must never, and we kill it, happen again.
Mrs. Josephine Marshall.
Is it mine or George? Okay. I like that, Maka. But I didn't listen to the speech, but just the bits and pieces that I heard. I don't think President George Weah gets it. I don't think he gets it. He has not woken up. He does not get it that this is serious. Okay? And for you to come back and say that you are preparing, first of all, I always said that CDC was like a court because you are only speaking to one set of people. And I always say to Amika had just said, as you know, a pastor, but I always said to people that if you look at Donald Trump and you look at George Weah, it is the same at the same moment, at the same time, where God was saying to us that you guys have gone away from me. So I'm going to give you these kinds of leaders that you guys want, not what I give to you guys. Now, what we're saying here, Liberian people are saying to you, George Weah, you had 6 years. And all of those 6 years, yes, it's like a child going to college. Your first year in college, yeah, you're messed up because you're just going finding your way. But 3 years and then another 3 years is 6. So when did you wake up? When you have shuffled your government to say, you know what, this is not going right. The people had me to where I am today, but there was no reason. You didn't care for the people. And people are saying, oh, we blame the people around George Weah. No. After 3 years, you should know the kind of people that are around you. But you know what? He was busy looking at people saying, oh, Empire, you look so great. And he was naked. And they were telling him, yo, you have clothes. Oh, my God, don't listen to the Liberian people. What you have on this outfit because you love to dress. And that's what you have on. And so what I'm saying to George Weah, with that mentality of coming, not even saying to Liberian people, thank you, Liberian people, for giving this. You tell me you're coming 2029, no one is going to look at you because you are dead. You are dead. And Emeka said something. He said, look at the lightning and thunder that strike in Liberia. But before that, look at the eclipse that came. And I told someone, I said, God has listened to Liberia because the same God who told me the flag of Liberia was bleeding and there was rain and it was blood. He did not say, I heard the voice of the people that are alive. He said, I heard the voice of the dead. Because there are many that have died. They had died in the country. You're talking about our 3 boys that were killed. You're talking about the auditors. You're talking about our kids that were molested, 2 years old, 1 year old. And these are what we are talking about. Nobody spoke. We had gender ministry. We had women in gender ministry. Nobody spoke. Nobody spoke in reference to Liberian people in this government, but it was always what we are sharing and seditions. Where were the other people? Once you become a president, you are the president of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. George Weah wants to come back in 2029. And I hear people saying, oh, the president is coming back now. He said he's coming for his legacy. I'm not going to dignify this young man who said Ellen had 12 years, so George Weah should be given a chance to have his part of 12 years. He's coming for his legacy. The day you take office, your legacy begins. You don't wait because you're not guaranteeing a second term. I want to say a big thank you to the Liberian people. We have 11,000 people watching on Facebook, 3,000 people for the first time watching via YouTube. This is remarkable. Andrew Williams.
Yes. No, Ashford, I appreciate you, man. Listen, the young man just said we should be I'm already celebrating. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm celebrating. I'm very excited. We are actually in line, and that just causes. You know what? Cheers to you too, man. I wasn't gonna cheers, but cheers to you too. I appreciate that. There you go. That's how you do it.
I'm fix for you on a glass too.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it, brother. That's how you do it.
You have the right to celebrate
this
tonight.
Guy is a clown. This guy is a clown. How are you going to be the president of an entire country and you cannot put an entire sentence together? Ashford, please explain that to me. How are you going to be the president of a country and you think in your head, I can just go and talk whatever comes to my mouth, I will say it. Shame on Liberia, man, for us ever electing somebody like that, in truth. Shame on us. The truth is, we have moved on. We got an honorable person in office right now. And you know what, Ashford, I think I'm leaving the United States. I'm coming back to Liberia. That's the best I can say to you.
Thank you.
Breaking news.
Thank you.
Yeah. Look at this one. She's speaking fast. Ashford, tell her to stop.
Okay, thank you. Duke, my man, 2029 is an open field. Joshua is telling us, following 6 years of this, he's coming back in 2029.
Yeah, the Reverend says something. That was not an ordinary rain. That was the tears of Odell Sherman, the Matthew Ennis, the Gifty Lama, all of those people that were assassinated and murdered by this government. I had an interaction at Royal Hotel. I'm not going to go into the depth of it. That experience told me that we were dealing with a group of people who felt really entitled, that they could retaliate. They could do anything they wanted to do because they felt that government was in their hands. And, I listened to the speech. At first, I said, okay, so let's look at the ideas. Okay, young democracy, you're doing this, the rest of we had no option. Did we attempt to rig the election? Yes, they had discussions about it, but they couldn't do it. The international pressure was just too much. Like the international community was never going to risk Liberia. It already had an unfortunate situation in Sierra Leone. Two countries that have been plagued by civil conflicts in the sub-region wherein the international community had invested a lot of resources were not going to fall to electoral fraud back to back. It was never going to happen. But it showed the arrogance. It showed the people around him. It shows the kind of conversation they're having. Go ahead and take it. You're still young. Come back in 2029. But I'll tell you this. The Liberian people are not stupid. They made a decision to get him out of the system. He's not coming back, and that's for sure. But finally, I don't care about the message. What I do care about that the leadership going forward will take some drastic actions. They have to set the tone on day one. Something happened in Liberia over the past 6 years. And those individuals who were victimized, they need justice. And it needs to start from the current leadership. They have to answer. They have to pay for their errors. And this is all I'm focused on. And, I don't care about the speeches. This is a man. Just to throw this in here, Ashford, you remember when this man went on the pulpit and said, oh, the two people were lovers and stuff, they were having whatever in there and they died and they sit on my government? These are the things that Liberians should remember and the reason why we can buy into that. So it doesn't mean anything to me. Yes, our democracy, we're moving forward, but the way administration should pay for what it did.
If that is, I will have you to take the last word before we.
Yeah. So so Ashford, unfortunately, I differ with all of the panelists, and let me tell you why. We're talking reconciliation. I listened to the speech. As I listened to the speech, I saw a president who recognized that our democracy was at the precipice of a potential disaster. And in that speech, he called on his supporters to be calm, to recognize that this is democracy. They didn't win, and therefore should understand and embrace these results. He further made a call to congratulate the president-elect. Liberia wins and has become a model in Africa based on what this president's speech said. Now, we can criticize his government for all the flaws. We did that during the campaign. But we're talking about reconciliation. And what I thought he did today was noble because I listened to the speech. That speech remains demonstrable of the genuine step towards reconciling our country after a very bitter campaign. I support Joseph Yuma Boyka. He stated that we have to build a government of inclusion. And let us not forget, democracy is the will of the majority whilst protecting the rights of the minority. George Weah symbolized a certain section or a sector of our country. He had almost half of the country following him. So he symbolizes a particular majority that we can call Liberia. Is his policy a curse or did he run Liberia well? No, we can argue that. But the truth remains that those who follow George Weah are also Liberians. And so when we talk about reconciliation, we're looking at the fact that they too have been disappointed by our victory. And if we want them to be a part of this vision, to think Liberia, love Liberia, built Liberia, we have to bring them on board because they are Liberians. Right now, they are in the minority. We are in the majority because of the will and mandate given to us, but their rights have to be protected. And though we have become the victors, we must also reach out to them to bring this country together, to be a constructive criticism. And personally, I find it very beautiful that he will say he wants to come back in 2029 because that is democracy. We'll not all agree, Now it is the will of the people to decide whether or not they want to embrace his leadership again. So we shouldn't begrudge that reality because we live in a democratic society. Thank you.
And
Let a church say
Ashford, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we got a little 2 seconds to just respond, right?
I'll give you.
Yeah, I was
All right.
going to too.
Yeah, you look.
Let me hold on.
All right.
Dude.
Go ahead.
I'll give everyone 30 seconds. Then we'll take to the telephone line. Go ahead.
Ashford, if that's the case, then let me start with the response.
Exactly. Please do. Face.
Okay. So the thing is, nobody is saying that the rights of sedition should not be respected. Nobody is saying that. And nobody is saying that George Weah doesn't have the right to even come back and run. But technically, if you look at him talking about wanting to come back in 2029, you have to ask yourself, why? What's the motivation? And one speculation is that he believes that this government will underperform like him. And once the government underperforms just like him, people will have no alternative than to say, well, then let's go back to George Weah. The devil we know is better than the angel we don't know. So as far as reconciliation is concerned, we have to understand that we went through years of civil war. So whether people like it or not, they need to respect the right of the majority, because that's what happened the last time when George Weah won. So he doesn't, even had he waited a week or whatever, at some point he had to make that speech that the nation. Do you think George Weah wanted to risk being a war criminal? Because if you incite your people into the street and people get killed, you would definitely be a child stealer. I'm not sure this is what George Weah wanted. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me. Okay, I mean, not in any particular order. Let me go to Duke.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
So look, this is not. I understand the need. The importance of reconciliation. That was not the point, right? Look, regardless of what or how the speech sounds, it does not change the fact that something happened. And what we remember the most, that George Weah led one of the most destructive administrations in the history of governance in Liberia. And nothing will change that. We can go for reconciliation, I know. But I'll tell you this, the family of Gifty Lama and the Princess Cooper, the Dale Sherman, they're still looking for justice, right? And so that's his burden to carry. And I don't want people to think that we're saying that, oh, everybody shouldn't come on board and we shouldn't respect people. But I think that's what we're trying to highlight. The most that people should remember about the government. I'll tell you this, the family of Gifty Lama.
Somebody has to mute his or her
By your
device.
best friend Williams.
Somebody will have to mute his or her device. Please. Thank you. Go ahead, dude.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams is not talking. My phone was on mute. What? Why are you accusing me of something I'm not doing?
Because as soon as you came on, the feedback came.
Okay. Please complete your thoughts.
See, I don't know why.
Mr. Williams, let it go. Let it go, Mr. Williams. Please.
You got to pay attention. She's picking on me, Ashford.
I said let it go, please, my brother.
Yeah, come on, Ashley. It can't be too tense. You just did both of them right.
Exactly. I don't know why he's so stiff-faced. Stop being so stiff-necked, my man. It's time to celebrate, man. What are you doing? Look, cheers to you, Ashford. You won the election, man.
You as well. So, you did not win the election. Liberia won the election. Thank you.
Yeah, but you have interest in the victory, my friend.
I will not let it go now. Oh man, Duke, please complete your thought, my bad. Go ahead, I beg you.
No, that's what I was saying, my brother. I don't think we're insensitive, and I actually today I did say that George Weah's got a base of people, and they're Liberians, and we need to reconcile the country, right? I agree with all of that, but I think the point here is, regardless of what the speech says or how it sounds, right? In the end, what we remember the most is a guy who was destructive, a guy who orchestrated some of the worst onslaught on the Liberian democracy. And we'll not forget that. That's what he would be remembered for, and that's what he should be held accountable. That's like saying that Idi Amin came with a little speech that all of us should be blown away and forget that Idi Amin was the dictator, or even the child stealer, right? But I think that's the focal point. I just wanted to drive that.
Thank you. Let us go to Andre Williams. Andre, please unmute the device.
I'm unmuted.
Okay, 30 seconds, please.
This is closing arguments, or?
No, this is not closing argument. 30
Man, I'm
seconds.
ready to celebrate, man. Can we cut the show short and just enjoy ourselves tonight?
You joking? Why
America.
don't you play some music and keep going?
No. You see why I'm talking about Ashford? I'm
Okay,
talking
listen.
to
You see the actual boy here.
Listen.
The whole broadcasting being there, he like to do bagbati inside. That's why
telling
you know
man.
you my picking.
Listen. No,
This guy.
Celebrate.
listen. Don't let it grip you fool you. Don't disrespect me. I'm older than you. You know that.
Older than me, but I pass you.
Yeah, of course. I don't buy. I mean, the guy
Ashford, Ashford, you are a broadcaster. You should listen to the politicians. Stop.
Listen, Andre, are we gonna have a show tonight?
I'm asking you to just cut the show short.
Okay,
because it's time to celebrate. Ashford,
the last I
you
checked,
won the election, man.
The last I checked, I'm the moderator. If you're tired talking, you can simply ask my man.
I'm gonna excuse myself soon. Yes,
and that's what we're talking about here. We're gonna have the show, my man. You
but
know?
Lexi Brooks, me and you, we fought it because you keep picking on me. I don't know why, but hey, we're gonna figure it out.
That's likeness.
Okay.
Oh,
Exactly.
she admitted. She admitted it's likeness. Okay.
No, I said
didn't
it.
say that. I didn't say that.
Folks,
what did she mean? It's Josephine that says likeness. Josephine knows.
Andre, please do not spoil
the
pattern of this show. I beg you. We have a system here. We don't talk
about
man,
Ashford. This is victory rally right now. This is not even a show right now.
Andre, we have a platform. We have a show. I beg you.
Okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, your 30 seconds. I mean, you forfeited your 30 seconds.
Okay, let me go.
Mrs. Roberts, not Mrs. Roberts, Miss Marshall.
Oh, yeah. Forfeited mine too?
No.
So, I would say to my own pastor that I think what Dr. Fisk and Duke and I was saying, the rest of the team, not saying that we're not considering reconciliation. We are saying we are talking about the speech. And I believe that, like someone said earlier, just just knew he was going to win because he knew that he was going to stuff ballots like he did in the first round. But it happened that the world was watching. And at this point, we were saying that we have to learn from what happened to Sierra Leone. Liberia could not go, through that path. So we have to open our eyes and stand for something. And, most of my Sierra Leonean friends that I work with, they were like, we are so proud of Liberia. Wish we had done what Liberia did. And so it's again. We are saying that if you're saying that you want to come back, but just give the little respect to the other Liberians to say, my fellow Liberians. But you only speaking of reactions, or I don't know how you call them, reactions, or, whatever chants you are calling. We're talking about Liberian people. They're people that are hurt. A lot of things have been done in your government. And all you're concerned about, reactions. We are coming back. We are coming back. They called us. They called us to our game, but we will play this game. We're coming back 2029. And when you say those things, the people are looking at you like, this man do not even have the remorse. He just, first of all, he was trying to put the army in the streets.
10 seconds.
But the students said, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. We ourselves, we are tired. We don't get paid. We are tired. And we're going to stand for the truth. Enough is enough. But what I want to say here is to Duke. Duke, I don't know you, but I think I came across your video. And bravo to you for standing up. Yes, you were for another party, but you stood. And this is what we call reconciliation. Someone who saw the right path. Someone who says, look, this is this. You guys are going one way, knowing that the country is messed up and we need a new Liberia. So like I said again, a new day, new dawn for Liberia. And may God bless Liberia. May God bless all of us. And to my old man, Bwaka, I say to you, peace, and make sure that as you are leading Liberia, make sure that you do the right thing. We love you. We love you. Liberia love you. God bless. Thank you, everybody.
So that how a DHL to you, huh?
Let me tell you the story about this hat. So this hat, I got a t-shirt. So Ben Savvy bought this for me in Philadelphia when the old man came and we went there in Philly.
The same Ben Savvy that went to George Weah?
Ben Savvy. So I was going to wear this on my show and tell Ben Savvy, here is what you gave me in my
Yeah, the political prostitution. Mr. Lexi Brooks Roberts, give her your turn, please.
Yes. Thank you. So I agree with Duke. While it is true, we have a president that conceded. But yes, A lot of blood is on his hand. He spoke nothing to our people. He said nothing during all these times of turmoil. And even in his exit, he didn't even have the audacity to come live to us. He did what he has done, and he gave us a recording. But yes, that Reverend Pastor added, we are going to reconcile. But before in reconciliation, you have to also mitigate. You have to say what's on your heart. And then when you have let it out, then you sit and breathe. So Liberia will breathe again. And we are happy that our people stood up. They washed the ballot boxes. They observed the little things that were planned, and their plans failed. So the people get the applause, because in unity, success is sure. It's not only the international community, because the international community was there as well when we did the first round, and they got over that time. So they thought they would get over this time, but the people were vigilant, and we thank you. Mr. Barker, as you usher in, we ask that you don't play the same games. Do not have your people be the ones running our government while you sit there and
Thank
do
you.
nothing. We're looking forward to a campaign that you said you will do the work, you will make amends to the country, and we look forward to that.
America,
Thank you.
30. Idatu's.
You know,
Um,
Idatu that my brother, we're not hard here, we're not pretending that we're brother. From the time I know Idatu, your 40 said Idatu will pray over you. It's so Idatu, it is his moral duty to preach the gospel. But you know, Idatu, I'm like David or Joshua. I got the Bible in my hand and I got the sword in my hand, and I'm on the battlefield for the Lord. For the way I see it differently. I see the word today is money, power. And actually, you know me, that's my slogan. What we're going to do, we're going to move the country forward. We're just going to move. Some of us, we're not going to have step. Nubian FM is coming back. There's another bigger one coming up now. I ain't going to bring out of the bag. That we're going to make it happen. We're going to use our voice like we always do. You see me, I get grammar, but when I get on a public platform, I take it so because I'm the party man. So there got to be a social background, a softer side to make you come out and spend your money for me to sell my drinks and make you party like a rock star.
Thank you.
But as we do that, we deal with him.
Thank you. Idatu's give us 30, then we will begin the next segment, which has to do with job creation. And Akina Phillips will begin with that. Go ahead, Idatus. 30 seconds.
Well, certainly, greetings to my friend and brother, Mr. Phillips. I enjoyed you on last night. But guys, let's be very clear. Make no mistake about this. We had a rough elections, and we are praying for a leadership that can bring us together as one nation, indivisible under God. We have criticized George Weah. We disliked his policies, and we will hold his government accountable. But don't forget, there are also Liberians who supported him as we supported Joseph Imabweka. All I'm saying to you all tonight is the vitriol needs to temper down as we build the bridge to reconciliation. We are not saying, or I am not saying, accountability is out the door. But it is time for us to come back together. And all of you know, from the Facebook to the radio stations to the campaign, our politics was very venomous, seriously venomous. And it takes a sound leadership to bring us back together as a people, whilst implementing the tenets of justice as necessary. And I just also want you to know my cousin, Melvin Early, was the one who they said was shot 3 times in the head. Do I want justice for him? Absolutely. But I'm also saying the stability of our country is important before you can implement justice. If we let it go down, it's going to be a problem. So I respect the speech that President Weah made tonight concerning the stability of peace, because his supporters could have gotten in the street violently and destroy our nation. Thank God for the prayers that went up.
Thank you.
But make no mistake, we are not weak. We stand for justice and accountability. And peace and reconciliation is the responsibility of not just the government, but every one of us on these social media platforms, radio stations, and in our personal and professional capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. If you just joined us, this is British Radio Africa, and of course, ASHFORD Garley Live is the program. And you know, when you run a business, you got to ask, get the marketing department involved, and somebody paid for these 2 hours tonight. And we just want to say a big thanks to the sponsor of the show tonight, Mr. Steven Blama Mosa, aka Gucci. Want to say a big thank you for picking up the tab tonight to sponsor the program. And we don't know what you saw in us or what you see in this platform, but you decided to contribute, and you also made plan. Last night after the show, today I received 2 calls. People are interested in investing into British Radio Africa. You see, when you see British Radio, you see Ashford behind it. I'm not alone in this. 2010, December 27th, my birthday, 2 guys joined me and said, listen, we want to do something that nobody is doing. But they are basically they're behind the scene, they're doing some other things. And one of the brothers is Sam Barker. Sam Barker is, in fact, I brought the name British Radio. And Sam Barker is here in Minnesota. Sam is one of the architects behind this. And I also like, thanks to Wallace Smith, aka he used to be called the Mighty Wolf. Wallace Smith is also one of the brains behind this. And listen, these guys are professional. They worked tirelessly in getting us off the ground. You might not see them, you might not hear from them, but they worked in getting us to this point. And I also like to recognize the woman in my life. She's the one that keeps me going. We pray together, we cry together. There are times where I feel that I can't make it, and she said, listen, I got you. You can do this. You will go through this. And I just want to say the big thanks to her. And lastly, I want to recognize Mr. Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is a professional Bible. I mean, he hooked me up today. And Chris, in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, I want to say the big thanks to you for hooking me up. And I asked, I said, what's my time? He said, Ashford, this is on the house. So you want to cut your hair? There's a guy called Christopher Pratt. I met this guy over 23, 24 years ago when I came to the States, and he's still doing the damn thing. At this point, folks, there are people that want to invest in Liberia. They love what they're hearing now. They want to go. Some of them are in the diaspora, the UK, Canada, and of course, the United States of America. Let us take time out to talk about job creation and investment in Liberia. I'll give you 2 minutes to begin with that. Please unmute the device. Al Phillips.
Good evening, Ashford. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much once again, Ashford, for giving me the opportunity to come on the program. It was a great opportunity last night. Emeka, it's been a long time. It's a great time. It's a great opportunity to see you once again. I see.
I got to know everybody about what
you're still moving forward, and I pray that everything that the new Nubian will come up stronger, better, and reach to where no man has reached before. I wish you all the best. Let me just put a couple of seconds into the speech. I think most importantly, the speech was President Weah trying to reestablish himself with some level of credibility or integrity. Whatever, I think former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, did a great counseling session with him and told him, so look, if you want history to be good to you, this is your last hurrah. When you get on the stage, you've got to do the right thing. And I want to add to that. I did a short write-up today on Facebook, and it talked about the death, the final death of traditional Liberian politics. And many people don't understand, but maybe Emeka will have an appreciation of this, that the social media generation, technology, Emeka and I were in Liberia when the Ace Fiber internet cable made a tremendous change in the internet, the expansion of the mobile networks across the country, the youth generation, the social media generation. Everyone played an important role And so many people, the old guard, did not know that the traditional Liberian politics has died. And they were still trying to play that game. And the winner in all of this is technology. Technology made all of this happen. So I think the democratization process of Liberia has now reached a whole new level. There's no turning back anymore. So now here we find ourselves now. So now the politics is over. Now it's time to govern. Reconciliation doesn't mean the elimination of accountability, right? So tonight, I think one of the things that we need to think about is how do we create jobs? What's going to happen? What does this new government have to do in the next 100 days? The next 100 days will set the pace as to how this new leadership moves forward. Reconciliation, engagement of the diaspora abroad. But for me, job creation is the most important thing. And I think if there was anything that was truly destroyed over the past 6 years, it's the Liberian economy. The economy was decimated. Small Liberian businesses died. Emeka can testify to that. The lack of electricity, even though there was an abundance of it, was not invested in, and it just hampered foreign investment and the foreign aid support from the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration dried up. And these guys came into office not knowing what to do to stimulate economic growth. So I think the next 100 days, job creation, unification, and building the electrical grid and tying things together, I think that's where they need to focus on.
Thank you.
Before I go deeper into that, Ashford.
Thank you. Want to go to Josephine Marshall, Mrs. Josephine Marshall, the Reverend Josephine Marshall, as we talk about job creation here tonight. And a lot of people don't even know that we might not being seen together all the time. We might not talk all the time, but she's a sister. I got to know Josephine Marshall since 2009, 2010. I went to MC this big wedding, and she happened at the time to be the chief organizer. And ever since then, we hit it up. And she was actually my first co-host back then in 2010. And ever since then, we kept in contact, even when I went to Liberia and got into some other things and went to the oil field. But we still kept in contact. And I'm glad that she's on here tonight as a friend, a sister, and a confidant. Mrs. Josephine Marshall, what are your thoughts? Job creation in the first 100 days. Please unmute your device. Your device is still muted. You have to mute it yourself, Josephine. We're still not hearing you. Okay.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So it's going to be a lot of work. And I think the first thing I would say that we should not be only dependent on government when it comes to job creation in Liberia, at this time. But one of the things that I would think is, in the simplest term, that there can be only two reasons, for divergent levels of, capital income, for this government. One, different levels of resources, or two, differences, the allocation of resources, which can be either how the resources are employed, of how many of the resources are employed. And so, looking at that, we're hoping that the president and whoever his partners would be to sit to open up businesses in Liberia, that they will also look at not only the people will not only be looking at the government producing jobs, but also for the people. I know Mr. President, I gotta get used to this now. President Joseph Boakai will be looking also into farming. So, he loves farming. So I know definitely he's gonna go, into that private sector, that, people will be able to, create jobs, because there are a lot of Liberians that are here that have a lot of experience when it comes to, different businesses. You have, from IT to, I know someone say electricity to, just we talk about it, especially health, because I'm in the health field. So the hospitals. And for me, I thought that, especially with JFK, that we would have focused on JFK to revamp JFK, and it's just building other hospitals, some, 12 military or whatever military hospitals, but to focus, because Liberia at one point was where people used to come from all over to hospitals. So health, sanitation, we need to stay focused into that for job creation.
Job creation. This is your turf, Dr. James T. Fisk. Long before the election, you always spoke about job creation, and we at the stage now where we're talking about job creation in the first 100 days. I think your device is on mute. Can you hear him? We still can't hear you, Dr. Fisk. What's going on tonight?
I think it's just
That's not the stuff. I mean, it has to do with his device. Dr. Fisk, we still can't hear you.
he says to go come back, I think.
I think you have to do that. Okay. Job creation. Listen, folks, I met this lady via Facebook in 2019 when I was solo doing a Bridge Reader Africa, and she called in one night, and I listened to the voice. She has a very good voice, good sounding voice, and I used to go ahead and play my little music, and she was dancing to Zouk. She loves Zouk music. And today, here we are, 3-4 years later. This is Lexi Brooks Roberts. We are talking about job creation in the first 100 days.
Here is my first proposal.
Hmm.
I propose that the new administration hires Mr. George Weah as the youth and sports minister, and that's being inclusive. That's being inclusive, okay? And as stated in some of the campaign promises, that ambassador or now president-elect
I won't buy against it.
Newman.
You come from controlling all the Jude, and then they can't bring anybody. You have a big the way
No,
Johnny.
because he was showcase
I
he was
tell you,
showcase his real talent, and he will save
No,
himself.
we're not following that advice.
Go ahead,
Mr. William, that's a suggestion. They don't have to take it.
You know how much woman I will pull with youth and sports? You better stop it.
Well, the man got game. You can't stop the man game now. We're talking about serious
That
players.
game tape finish.
So he will manage it. He may not be the minister, but so that we can really see his talent, because this is something that we were hoping he would have expanded on for the Liberians, the country of Liberia, to be more exposed in the World Cup and all of these things. That, in fact, the World Cup is coming up in few weeks. But
and Liberia won today. Liberia won today.
Oh, you see, good. So that means he will have an impact, because now people are so happy that he's leaving. The country won. So yeah, inclusiveness. We just want to make sure that despite our differences, we don't do like what has been done in the past. We model the behavior that we criticize. That you reach across the aisle and get people that are qualified, as Pastor Dr. said, meritocracy, rather than just who I know, or who supported me. So let's pray that in these 100 days that the campaign team or the president advisors are looking, across to see who qualified. And with all due respect, I don't want the same old people. Remove them, bring some new people, new heads, and maybe even if you keep some of them, mash them up with new breed of people, so that the country has a balance of power, young and old, and not just one set of people. And that's what I suggest.
Thank you.
But you said new people, and you said you bring the president back, so he's not new.
Well, that was a breaking of the ice, to keep him in the country and so he doesn't run away to Jamaica.
That makes sense.
Thank you. Let us go to Duke.
Ashford, I love this conversation about job creation. This is what I do: finance, investment, banking, economics. For a long time, first and foremost, I like to use reference points from the previous government, and that's hopefully a guide for the next administration. One of the beginning of the downfall of the Weir administration was when he had that first meeting. I'm not sure you'll remember, with the rice importers. There were expectation that we were going to move from a situation wherein these people were monopolizing that particular area, and it stayed that way. So I think in terms of job creation, the first thing we have to protect the interests of Liberian businesses, the small business owners. We're getting into territory wherein a lot of our people cannot really grow sustainable businesses in the country because we don't have the level of flexibilities for small business owners in Liberia. So I'm looking at maybe relaxed legislations, the financial sector retooling of it, seeing how best we can be able to provide some level of flexibility within the financial system to better prepare, them that lenders may feel comfortable with, because as it stands, there's not access to liquidity for small business owners in Liberia. You have a lot of those monies going to foreign business owners. Those are who the banks trust, and they probably have some reasons, but that's something we have to tackle. I think that we have to find a way to look at that informal sector and see how best we can be able to transfer some of those level of productivity into mainstream economics, the development of the country. One thing I think that we should start looking at, especially from the government, how can we start looking at young professionals in the diaspora to become part of growing our economy, right? A lot of young professionals who have the monies, who have the resources, how we can get them to be able to invest in businesses, to be able to build homes in the country, how we can be able to attract them in there. So I think those are different ways, but I expect tightening the loopholes. That's one of the things that continues to seek things out of our economy. That's one thing. Go to the different revenue generating sectors, making sure we're creating an electronic digital payment system, because that will help alleviate some of the corruption that we see at these different ministries. So I think those are smart ways to be able to make things a little flexible and to create that. But it starts with the importation of rights, the import business. The Ministry of Commerce have to find a way to make sure that we're creating a pool of Liberians, right, wherein government's funding them and giving them the opportunity to be able to import on a larger scale. But I think those are some of the things that we have to look at. And hopefully the Boycott administration have some of those policies that they'll begin to implement going forward.
America, job creation, and I want to say a big thanks to you for what you've done in the intimate industry. You today have people who are going international from just your mentorship. And as we talk about job creation in first 100 days, and while we'll also avoid this constant habit that when you come from America, the people see you as an outsider, especially when you're going back home to invest in your country. By the time you say something, they say, "Oh, you're not from here," and don't come here the way you talk. And what? How can we push past this as a country? That when you see a person coming from abroad, the little knowledge that he brings to the country, he's coming to inspire people. He's coming to create jobs for some of the folks who don't have the opportunity to do something for themselves and the country.
Okay, first I would say, what's up, Kena? It's been a minute, and we're going to get back into the digital age. Now, Asha, I'm going to speak to the social entertainment thing, because basically when we look today at Nigeria, Afrobeats, we look today at, let's look at America. When America wants to go to war, we've seen lately, if you go to Netflix and other, they're showing more what perpetrates what's happening in the world today. America television, the entertainment industry drives everything. I'm returning to Liberia, and this time around, I'm going to build a network of professionals. In Liberia, when you can sing, you feel you should be your own manager. You should feel you should be your own producer. But we have not built an entertainment industry. The first 100 days of President Boyka's thing, it will be he have to focus on rebranding Liberia. You know, when the war happened, everywhere you went, they would say Chastila. When Ellen became president, it became the pride of the word that when we travel, everybody was like, oh, Madam Sirleaf. When we became president, at first it was like, yes, the football player, but he dragged us in the mud. We have to rebrand Liberia. We have to find the mother or the father of the nation. It have to be a brand new professional service. It's not amateur. It's not a Ministry of Information job. It's not a press secretary to the president job. It have to be, we have to take a local team with an international branding team and lobbyists to rebrand. We have to now look at to attract. Last year was our 200-year celebration. Unfortunately, we are government dragging in the mud. Let me say something, the Congo country people situation, native people, because a current man can be a native man or a Congo man. That definition, a current man is a dumb man. That's what it is. But what it is the fact of the matter that now we have to look at a situation in where, what is our history? Like America, slavery is one of the worst part of America's history. But yes, slavery is being monetized. Our 200 years, the United States government got involved. Kwampa, that tried to shoot JMB the other day, where the boy and Prince Johnson and JKK, told me that we won't bring Congo people back. Who is a Congo man? We all here. When you queen, you queen. Who has become more? The reality is the entertainment industry, and we saw it, the songs, the different things. Me and my auntie, my other family, we've been talking, we've been doing. But the first thing is to rebrand. In every company, MTN or Lone Star, Celcom, we got to create a branding thing that every billboard, everything, ASHFORD, must be at a point. And like Akina said, we must use technology, social media. Ghana did it. We are the greatest. Ghana used technology and is still using technology to foster their agenda. We can do the same. But this time around, it must be a brand new thing. When we do it, we give it to this, we disseminate it. On every show ASHFORD do, ASHFORD must speak those words. We are the greatest. We are number one. What you speak, they say, let the words of your mouth and the meditation of your heart be
acceptable in our sight, O Lord.
We say that prayer every day. Do we understand it? We are one of the greatest nations in Africa. We are one of the greatest nations. Our story is a story that can sell. And it's time we are going to sell Liberia.
Thank you.
Can I come in, ASHFORD? Can I come in for 30 seconds?
If you ask me again, I won't allow you to come because I was just going to you, my man. Give us your take on job creation. Android, go ahead.
I think the reason I'm anxious to come in, ASHFORD, is because of what my brother just shared. Because my personal vision is one of the things that is completely abandoned is Liberia's history with the ACS. It is abandoned. The ACS is still an active force in the earth. In our world, the ACS is a reality. We don't even know that as Liberians.
We don't see you, Andre. We can see your face.
Okay, I'm sorry. ASHFORD, I told you, my man, I've been enjoying myself since this morning. I apologize. So one of the things I must say to you, ASHFORD, is the ACS is still a brand in the earth. ACS is a real organization till date. So we as Liberians, we need to be able to reconnect. As a matter of fact, I know church people are not supposed to be like the way I'm behaving right now, but listen, ASHFORD, I'm not guilty. Me and that's what we've been arguing about this thing for the longest. So we'll deal with that one later. All I'm trying to say is I'm a church man myself. I'm a minister in training. And the reality is we need to connect with the Black church in America, primarily, so we can retell the story of how this nation, Liberia, the beacon of light that William R. Talbot was shining, was cut in his prime. We need to retell that story, number one, and we need to create a petition that will make the Black church understand that this is the first Black nation in Africa that was established based on Christianity. I'm sorry, gentlemen, but that's the reality of Liberia's history. Now, we go back to that. We get people to people who are, look, Paula White. Paula White. I don't know if you know who Paula White is, but Paula White is a direct advisor to President-elect Joseph Boyka. She's a direct advisor to this man. And Paula White, I know Paula White. I know Bishop T.D. Jakes. I've been in the same area or room with these people because of this minister called Joseph Prince. Went to his conference. I was allowed to come close. I came close. I was able to mingle with these people. Hello, that's it. But the reality is this. If we are given a mandate by Liberia, from Liberia, to actually make this thing a reality here in America, you will be surprised how Liberia will rise. And the thing is, it's something that I believe has been abandoned, and we as Liberians will refuse to pay attention to our history and how we can reconnect with the ACS so that we can make this a reality. Look, y'all brought us here. Y'all need to make sure that we are this beacon of light that y'all intended us to be.
Thank you, Andre. If that is added, then we will circle back to Mr. Phillips.
Well, thank you very much. So the Joseph Boyka platform clearly states, Pillar 1, it looks at a macroeconomic and infrastructure development. And what that entails is to first and foremost establish a sound economic fiscal policy, discipline and effective management, restoring confidence in our monetary system again. And not only that, but when you think about infrastructure, it has to do with the construction of roads, bridges, restoration of our airports, seaports, land. All of that has the robust capacity to create jobs. He also focuses on information and technology, wherein Liberians can be a part of the global village through technology to be able to advance and create jobs where we are connected internationally. He also wants to invest in our extractive industry, which will serve as a direct foreign investment through which factories can be created in the words of Dr. Fix, not by us, but by these transnational companies that want to do business with Liberia. He's looking forward to improving the Liberianization policy, where certain economic zones can be established for Liberians. The commerce and regulation laws that will protect Liberians and enable them to invest in businesses that are Liberianization in and of itself. So these are just some of the things he wants to do. So let's talk about infrastructure. We listened to our brother who talked about the investment in electricity. A lot of jobs can be created through that means. So his policy is quite clear. It's laid out in terms of job creation. And one of the things I like to encourage Liberians is to think about joining the army. That is one way to be able to do it. And finally, the agribusiness, investing in agriculture in a way wherein Liberians can be able to become self-sufficient in our staple food, which is in fact a national security commodity, rice. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you just joining us, this is ASHFORD GARLEY Live on British Radio Africa. Folks, I'm telling you, we're having a great time tonight, and want to say a big thanks to Mr. Stephen Blama Musa for the sponsorship. Thanks a lot for doing that. We hope that other way Emily is a good example in helping to promote this platform. And surely we're going to post the Cash App and Zelle. We can't do this alone. These things cost money. So, like I say, Liberian parlance, every little water can put a fire. We're not tasking you. We don't get support from any of the institutions in Liberia, like the government or the opposition. We do these things on our own, and it costs money to run this platform. At this time, I'd like to go back to Mr. Akena Fellas. Akena, you said something last night about the importance of energy or electricity, and you say it is not that hard because we have the resources in Liberia. We have what it is. Just need somebody to pick up the leadership and start to do these things.
And yeah, I mean, let me just expand on something a little bit more. I had a very, very long and lengthy discussion today with one of the senior policy advisors to the new leadership, and we spoke at length regarding electricity. And the fact is, over the course of my position as a senior policy advisor for the Robert Morris campaign, where we led this Let There Be Light campaign to build the national electric grid and exploit the opportunities of the Transco CLSG. Even for you, Madam Marshall, who's a nurse, the fundamental challenge for Liberians is to understand that until we build a solid foundation of energy, no sector of our economy is going to succeed, to prosper, or to grow. There's one fundamental thing we talk about in engineering, that the height of every economy, country, nation is a function of its depth. So you look at Ghana today, you look at La Cote d'Ivoire today, the growth, the expansion in the economy is a function of the depth of this energy sector, it being deep, solid, resilient, to support private investment from the Liberian diaspora. And that's why today, I mean, over the course of, I think Duke, I participated on a program with Duke as well on, I think it was, yeah, and we talked, and I mean, that was my entire campaign for Mr. Morris throughout the first round. National electric grid, exploit Transco. So once we can build this grid that connects every county, then, you know, Nurse Marshall, if I can call you that, man, can now bring her
You prophesy.
and say, look, how can we invest in the medical sector in Maryland, in River G, or wherever the case? Now they don't have any limitation because electricity is there, which is a fundamental ingredient to make their investment successful. Even the Ministry of Commerce, right? Okay, so Duke is talking about financing small business from the financial sector. Liberia's challenge, if you truly analyze the Liberian economy, you come to realize that over the course of the past, 18 years, you've had leaderships that did not understand that you cannot put the cart before the horse. You've got to have energy, electricity that stimulates economic growth, attract foreign investment, that create jobs. You cannot have, I mean, a robust economy in the absence of electricity. It's impossible. It's impossible. And this is this is the loop that we've been going in over and over. And that's why there's no growth, there's no expansion. There's nothing that's really taking place. And if, in fact, if you truly analyze, Ashford, I'm taking up a little time, but I just want to land a point here. If you truly analyze the Liberian economy, it is a falsehood to say that the foreigners control the economy. You know why I say that? Because the overwhelming majority of the businesses in Liberia are Liberian businesses. If you truly look at the volume, the quantity, it's Liberian businesses. But the challenge is the Liberian businesses are stifling at the bottom. Why? Because they they cannot afford the number one ingredient, which is electricity, to support what they want to do. So the dreams they have, the dreams die. You build a radio station, your number one expense is not your employees, but it's the fuel. So so you're competing for advertising dollars. And now you can't even get the advertisers to pay the money because their businesses depend on energy, and that's the biggest expense. So the entire nation is caught in this vicious cycle. So once we can build this grid, and I mean Transco, if you do research on Transco CLSG, this is a beautiful project built by Africa Development Bank. In fact, the building of this Transco brought about the almost taking down of Dr. Adesina, who is the CEO of Africa Development Bank, because this energy source that connects the countries in Mara River Union It's the only thing that now allows the nations to exploit their natural resources and attract the foreign investments and the diaspora. The Liberian diaspora is one of the wealthiest entities. The wealthiest entities that once they plug in, when power is there, Liberia transformation will never go back. And that's why, for me, I'm advocating build the national electric grid, tie it to Transco. Just imagine this. Let me just land on this point so everybody can get this understanding. The Transco network has the capacity of 275% of the Mount Coffee Dam. Imagine that. That's a fact. The substation in Yekepa and the substation in Bototai equals to one Mount Coffee, 24/7, 365. The substation in Buchanan and the substation in Robertsport equal to one Mount Coffee Dam, 24/7, 365. The substation sits in the Mount Coffee yard is equal to 75% of the Mount Coffee Dam. But guess what? Buchanan is in darkness and there's a substation there for 6 years. Figure that out.
Thank you. Okay, folks. You know, today is a great day. In the words of America, it's a new day. Why don't we take time out to celebrate a little? And there was song requested called Old Time Religion. Let's take a listen, and then we can come and just talk about.
No, Ashford.
Yeah,
We
Ashford, wait a
said, let
second.
the pastor, let it talk. That part can sing. Let's
Let
start
me
a fire
let me
right
just
now.
say this before we go sinking.
Okay.
I think it kind of prophet. He tried to prophesy that I'm a nurse. No, because I said I'm in a healthy. But I mean, this is great. I just want to thank all of you gentlemen and women on the platform here. Especially with job creation. But one of the things I think it was William or someone said, and the last time I had, on my show, I had what's her name? Not Miata Famula, but what's her name in Jersey. But I thought about our culture when somebody said the Liberian culture, and I thought about Kenya, where we could have, you go to Jamaica, you see these people, they got you on the bus and they just, explaining what happened, what they started from the British when they came into Jamaica. Liberia can do such thing. We can have our, the different culture, the tribes, Pele, Basso, all of these different things that we talked about, when the, Americans came, you talked about how Liberia was named James Monroe. We have history, and it starts from Kenya. We have like the cultural truth. This is something, as a pastor, I felt so beautiful. What's her name? She came on the show and she sang, and I love this because every time I hear her voice, it's just so powerful. And I said, I pray that God bless Liberia so we can have that Kenya, we can have that culture again, where people can not Nima Bird, the other one.
Josephine, I point to Tiva. Listen to me. Kenya was established. I know about Kenya because Blighty Mo is my mother's cousin. But I would say to you, Kenya was exploited. Listen, I'm gonna establish a culture village in Liberia with my own. Actually, I get B-Mark and do it. We're gonna do it. Everybody should forget about Kenya. Kenya was to cater towards the traditional history, but Liberia history is bigger. Liberia history, listen, I got a clothing line named the Manja Creation that I took country cloth and redid it and took it to the next level. Right now, it's about technology. We're still living in the past. We're still living Balawala Malawala. When the film industry has moved on, how can we revise and turn it around? And that one I'm on an era.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. The reason she's in Jersey, she always go to these different weddings and stuff, but she's really big her music. And I lived in Yekepa, and one of the things, there was a guy, growing up, there was a guy called JK Super Dancer. and my dad would beat me. I would follow the culture. It was just beautiful to hear Liberians sing in their different dollars. And this guy was so good. He would bring these songs that says from the Poor Society or from the, how you call it, the bush. And he would have these people dancing the grass skirt, the girls. And I learned these songs. You won't believe I still sing these songs up to today's date. But what I'm saying, when she came on the show and I said, this is something we need to promote, our culture. We talk about, Congo and this and that. Nobody wanted to be forced to say, we Congo. People don't say Congo with privilege. But guess what? At the end of the day, you will always say Congo Pele, Congo Bassa, Congo Crew. We are all Liberians. So we have a culture that we have to bring back so people can understand. A lot of us, when people speak in the dialects in Liberia, different, it's so beautiful. And so I think that one of those things that people can come and you see, like the waterfall we have in Liberia, we can make good use of it. We're talking about, job creation. So there are a lot.
So there are no roads to Patawi.
Yes. Liberia is so beautiful. I mean, when she sang this song and I always, Mamule, yeah. And I hear, what's her name?
Fatu Gifla. Yeah.
My God. She is so, the lady is so good. They used one of her songs when the queen came to Liberia. And it's just, that memories when you were young. These are beautiful, women. Gifla and all these women who used to sing, how about this and more, and what's up, the other one in Jersey, she used to perform her eyes. Oh my God, these men used to just go, we were, young, and we used to see the way they perform. So I think those are things we need to bring back. When we're talking about, reconciliation, breaking us back as one. What do you say?
Tourism and stuff.
Okay, folks, as we get ready to go home tonight, we just want to have a little celebration. Idatu's keyboard ready. America, you want to kick yourself with a little celebration before our closing, closing statements. In terms of our Lotari, as we all celebrate this new day for Liberia. So, am I playing the song from YouTube, or are you guys gonna begin singing? Because I can sing.
What song is that? Give me that old time religion.
Yeah,
we got to bring the old time religion back.
I think Idatu can raise that song.
Raise the song, Josephine.
Idatu, please raise the song.
The song, if I were to raise a song, it would be glory, glory, hallelujah. Since I lay my burden down, glory, 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 glory. Oh, hallelujah. Since I lay my burden down.
Roll on.
You know what I wanted to sing? You know what I wanted to sing today? What I wanted to sing today? It's not I wanted to get away today. I thought about it from the Christian side. I wanted to say, nothing lasts forever. Now it's time to set us free.
You see the other Remy, yeah? But I say, mercy me. No, listen.
Nothing lasts forever.
I remember when I went back home, I refused to leave Liberia, and I remained. When this guy came to power, I'm a late bloomer. I got a 5-year-old queen. And I had to leave and say, I will come back for a better day. But this day that we're going to return to Liberia, I heard my man God talking. This time around, and this is second time around, but this is final time around. Yeah. We ain't leaving nowhere. We going there to hold it. The old politics, like my big brother just said, is over. Like, listen. Eddie Appleton is my big brother. We lived together before and everything. You don't even know Eddie Appleton. The theory of Eddie Appleton and how he emerged. People don't know. People say Eddie Appleton, Jack King. The man bearing his navel string is shown. Eddie Appleton is what we say today is a revelation of a new day in Liberian politics. We will bring money, we'll bring power, we're talking about job creation.
But what he came for on the ballot?
Listen, their job creation, we're bringing jobs, we're bringing companies. But first, we need to rebrand. We need to rebrand. We need to tell our stories. We need to sell it that we will walk in the street and see the billboards, we'll see the thing, and we'll say, never again. And Idato, I want to hear, never again. Never
Go
again.
to a country, only the president on the bill.
This kind
Listen,
God,
we're president.
oh,
I don't even mean, listen,
I never
I worked
seen
with the
his
city
kind.
campaign.
Oh,
I never
Hey,
worked for
that
governor
was-
where 8 more I ran away. Me, I left
This
my house. I
kind
did the workshop
God,
classic on Monday.
blessed be your name.
And
I
that's
said,
the name
this
we're gonna
kind
sing.
God, oh.
Ashford, I come into Philadelphia, we after
I
next.
never seen
We
this
come into
kind.
Bob,
oh.
hey, you know, boy.
This
We
kind
cut
God,
our
Now
coming.
you said we should do Tari. Now we ready for Tari.
blessed be his name. I said, this kind God, oh.
This kind God.
I never seen his kind, oh.
I never seen this kind.
This
oh.
kind God.
On
This
Nigeria
kind
soil,
God.
Be his
let's
holy.
see. Higher, 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 higher,
Oh,
higher,
yeah.
higher. Lift Jesus.
Lift
Y'all not talking
Jesus
Nigerian
higher.
song. My power Nigerian,
I
man.
mean, today is really,
no,
really,
no.
really, really a great day for Liberia. I just feel the
Liberia will
atmosphere,
rise
and I
again.
just
Okay.
know that God has a new beginning for us, man.
Thank you. Okay, folks, I want to say a big thanks
Liberia.
to all of you. I want to give you each 2 minutes now as we close out the closing statement. I want to begin with my brother Duke. Give us your 2 minutes, your closing statement.
We
Yeah,
we got no callers tonight.
My caller link is acting up tonight. People try
Also,
calling.
can I say something to, let me say something.
Can you say that in
This
2
thing
minutes?
with Liberian broadcasting thing that we have to open the lines to callers. Come on, professionally. If your host cannot have a show
We had
and have a show
listen to me.
with
We
all
had callers
callers,
last night,
then
America.
they're not professional enough.
Listen,
CNN don't do
You
callers.
cannot tell me about
Yeah.
professionals in America. Come
No,
on.
no, I'm not
We had
telling
callers
you.
last night.
The whole
okay?
way we do, Ellen Johnson will say, where are you calls from? I can host a 5-hour show with all callers. We have done it tonight. We don't need
God,
callers.
tonight is tonight. Just for
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
So 2 minutes to close out each.
Yeah.
And I want to begin with Duke.
Yeah. Astro, thanks, and it was great being on here. The Liberian people's made a decision, and I think this is a new day for the country. And I hope that those who elect to serve the people well. But I want to leave with this, if you can permit me to. I want to tell the story about a remarkable person that we lost. Seattle Townsend, one of the best human beings that I've ever seen. A good friend of mine, somebody who up to the time I left to go for the election was so invested in that process. And I know the commitment working with her on the back end. I believe that we have a blessing to be able to tell her story. Liberia lost a good person in her. And it is my prayer and hope that, God continues to give us the strength to make sure that we're delivering the kind of Liberia that remembers the efforts of people like her. And so tonight, I pay homage to her. I pay homage to a lot of Liberians who lost their life throughout this process and pray that God gives us all of the strength that we need to recognize the effort. But overall, this is a happy day for Liberia. I am very, very excited about what the future of that country looks like. And hopefully together we can birth a new nation.
Thank you. The Reverend Joseph Marshall. Please unmute your device.
Yes, I am. I just want to say once again, I am grateful and honored to be amongst great men and women. I'm just so excited. I just don't want to cry. But I think exactly what God said He has done. This goes to my friend, wherever you are. I know you're celebrating in heaven, Adolph Lawrence. It is done. I know the 3 boys are celebrating. I know the auditors are celebrating this day. I know all of those who went through pain, trials, and tribulation in Liberia are celebrating today. But we should leave with us. We talk about reconciliation. We should leave with us that we cannot be like those who did what they did to the Liberian people. And so moving forward, let us unite. Let us look at the best and a better way to bring Liberia back. Like someone said, Liberia has been over 200 years, and we are one of the oldest in Africa. And so we need to come back. We need to bring dignity to our mother's land. We need to bring dignity to our father's land. We need to set Liberia back to where Liberia was and even above. Because I said the love of liberty brought us here. And so I want to say to all of us, I remember being in second grade that I carried Mr. Henry with what Longfellow that says the heights by which great men reached and kept were not attained by their second flight, but they whilst their companions slept were toiling always in the night. No time was there to sleep at night for them who hoped to reach the heights. No time was there to reach, I'm sorry, there's no time to sleep. But toiling all was in the night. Success was only won by fight. So let us fight a good fight to bring Liberia to where Liberia needs to be. I love you all. I thank God first for Liberia. I thank all the Liberians for putting their hands around the mother's land, Liberia. This was done for Liberia. No man gets the glory. God gets the glory. So to all my men here and to my sister, I want to say thank you, Duke. Respect, I'm going to say for because thank you again. And this is how we play politics. Politics does not have to be one way, but the love of country. Pastor Datus, love you, Ashford. Thank you guys. To my brothers, to Emeka and to Williams, I want to say thank you to you all, my sister Letty. God bless you all.
Emeka, please unmute the device, brother.
Well, it's been great being on the show. You've been trying to drag me. You finally got me tonight. You know what I mean? I like to be in the background. You know, I'm always the guy that closes the curtains. There's many a time I did events where I will come on stage at the end of the night in the short trousers and not wearing that suit that I've done, but because I like to see it happening, I would just forget. But as we go forward, there's going to be hectic. There's crisis in the world, the Asia crisis, the Ukraine crisis, economic crisis, post-COVID and whatnot. But like Akina said, technology can play a whole lot. Liberians going back to Liberia to do business, let's be honest with ourselves, not to take stuff from the dollar store and go sell it $200 and say we actually adding investment. How can we collaborate and do stuff and be sincere about it? We are not sincere as a people. It starts with us being in Americas doing stuff and how we can take it back. We got to form greater thing. We got to do more. There's another wave happening in Liberia where a certain group of people who are basically foreign are coming in, taking over the country. And we got to discuss that. To move forward, we have to do more. And I'm not trying to go on you, Sister Marsha or Idatus. There are too many churches, but not many solutions and many God things in Liberia. We got to cut down. Instead of building those big churches, we got to build big factories. We got to build edifices that will do. But one of the main crucial problems in Liberia, it have to be treated like Ebola. It's a drug pandemic. The drug pandemic have to be a national crisis. We have to go out into the world. There are too many. Everybody will say, okay, every church is opening. We can lay hands on people to move drug. Me and you know, we live in the US. It don't work. It have to be treated like Ebola. Madam Shirley says on the word disease cancer thing, Mosoko Fala is there. We must eradicate the drug crisis in Liberia. We must come up with social life. There's no talent shows. There's no nothing. All those different things that keep children busy and the different thing. Our young girls are the biggest. They're running around prostituting and whatever. Let's face the reality. Me and
the outgoing presidents are dope fans. So
that's what I'm saying. But right now, let's just go. Listen, I'm from the old school. Where we operate, what people say when we sit down to the table to eat, we don't talk about what husband and husband. As far as I understand, he's that. So let's sit now and go. The first thing this government must tackle is a drug issue, and it must be handled like Ebola.
Thank you. Time has got up with us. Akina Phillips, give us your closing, please. And you will have to unmute your device, please.
Well, once again, Ashford, thank you so much for the opportunity. I go back to what I've always been saying throughout the Robert Morris campaign. Electricity is electricity. 98% of all of Liberia's challenges, issues, concerns, the prostitution, men being reduced to beggars, women being reduced to prostitutes. And I mean, just death, desperation, despair, poverty all across this country because of the lack of electricity. The drug problem, You know, the drug challenge is a manifestation. Okay, I'm a deeply, highly spiritual person. When you see these things, the manifestations, the physical manifestation is only a confirmation of that which is spiritual, manifesting itself through that which is physical. That's all it is. And these things only show up in the dark. And that's why, for me, Let There Be Light was the theme of the Robert Morris campaign. Let there be light. Electrify this nation, create jobs, stimulate the economy, attract foreign investments, get the Liberian diaspora with all of the technological expertise and the capital resources into this country, into all parts of this country, where every Liberian in every county is given an opportunity to maximize their God-given talent. They can't see that being born in Hapa is a curse because there's no light, or being born in River G is a curse because there's no light. No, everything has been, the hardest part of the work has been done. All that needs to be done now is that President-elect Boyka, along with his vice president, needs to put forth a vision where electricity is the fundamental, drive it, create a practical plan and policy to build the national electric grid, connect the counties into the grid, stimulate economic growth, support the various sectors, the agro produce sector. Liberia can export produce to the U.S. to support what the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, create more wealth. When you've got people in the Sinai, in Egypt, exporting juices to the people in the tropics, you have a problem. You have a fundamental problem.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Phillips.
that's why I believe in electricity, and I support it. And that's going to be my only focus moving forward, to make sure I drive this with this new administration, because the politics may get in the way and take them off vision and cause a whole bunch of problems. But if we can keep them on this track, then the Liberian private sector will grow, and then people like Mr. Duke can come in and invest in small Liberian
Thank you, Mr.
business.
Phillips.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much.
Okay, Idatus, I want you to give us your closing statement, and then we will go to Mrs. Letty Bruce Roberts, and we can call it a night tonight.
Well, Ashford, I want to say thank you for what a great show to all of the esteemed panelists, Liberians abroad and at home. First of all, I also want to thank the U.S. government, the EU, for all of their indefatigable efforts to ensure that we have a peaceful transition. Thanks to Mr. Matthew Miller, the spokesperson of the U.S. State Department, who issued a statement on behalf of the department, recognizing the concession speech of our President George Weah and our President-elect Joseph Imamboyka through its congratulatory message. When we talk about reconciliation, we recognize that our country has just went through a tremendous, difficult time propagating messages to convince the population of the people of Liberia. And in that process, we hurt each other, we hurt one another, and it's difficult at times to heal easily, but it is our hope that as the President-elect Joseph Imamboyka has called for calm and peace in the nation, as well as President George Weah, all of us, be it social media or radio, television, name it, must champion this course to reconcile our country. And this reality of reconciliation is in no isolation of accountability or the implementation of justice where necessary. As a nation under God indivisible, with liberty and justice, recognizing the tenets of democracy, it is our responsibility as one people to ensure that reconciliation is just not championed by the government, but all of us here today. And let it be very clear, seditionists are Liberians who happen to have a different perspective of a personality in George Weah concerning his leadership. If we truly believe in the tenets of democracy, it is imperative that democracy is the will of the majority whilst we protect the rights of the minority. So they are brothers and sisters. We must work with them, as evidenced by how heavily divided we are. Because united we stand, we'll enjoy the glory of a victorious land of liberty. So make no mistake, we are one. And let's work as one people. In the words of Joseph Imamboyka, it is important for us to think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, he produced music for 6 years. He danced buka for 6 years, and You know, one of the last things I want to listen to is that, very unpleasant voice. We're glad that he's gone, and we can begin a good day in Liberia. Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts, give us your closing statement.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Garley. Thank you to my fellow panelists. Thank you to our guest panelists as well. We are on a new trajectory as we begin a new leadership. And we thank you all who fought tooth and nail for your beliefs and at the end are ready to reconcile. And as we close, we just want to remember during the South African apartheid regime, when Mr. Nelson Mandela took power, he said, in the end, reconciliation is a spiritual process which requires more than just a legal framework. It has to happen in the hearts and minds of our people. Thank you, and we pray for Liberia.
Thank you
Have
again. I
a
want to say that
wonderful evening.
thank you again. I want to say a big thanks to all of you. I want to say a big thanks to our sponsor, Mr. Stephen Blammer, Musa, aka Gucci. Thanks a whole lot for the contribution. We are going to be here again. A big thanks to my brother Christopher Pratt. From the inconsistency of this establishment, Wallace Smith, Sam Barker, Christian Crew, a lovely woman in my life. A big thanks as well for a job well done. Hey, folks, it's allowed me to go to the word civilized. What people think about you. What people think about you and the possibility for your brain. It's none of your business. You can worry about it. When somebody said no to you, they're not saying no to you. They're saying no to themselves. They're saying no to living a bigger life. They are saying no to what is going on in their heads because they are suffering from possibility blindness. When there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. When you fall or when life knocks you down, make sure you land on your back. Because when you can look up, you can get up. You have the power within you to do that. You have comeback power. Folks, he doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. Africa's media do extraordinary. C'est tout pas yé. Zabon plo da nja ko me ochira ji. You would know muzu and one je madobo to dry. Adu adi wapo. I'm ASHFORD GARLEY. Have a great night. And before we do that, let us play our theme song.
Before you play a theme song,
Before we play the theme song, we just do a little general conversation because I'm telling you, Liberia is free at last. America.
no, I got something to say
Yes.
to America. Don't ask America before I ask you. Don't even go there where the church is. We never stop you guys to build your factories. We don't just lay hands. We educate. We teach.
All of y'all get school, all of y'all bishop, all of y'all. We coming to close you down like Rwanda.
We need schools in Liberia, really.
Now all of y'all were supporting job. We have a fucking clown. Y'all go let our false prophet there. Y'all used to be buying back to him. We coming
Well,
to close all your children.
That's not me.
America, do tell me about this feeling, man. You go into your own country, you're scared to go to your own country.
Are you scared?
People look at you differently. I'm just saying something in general.
But you know,
you had the likes of Finabon slapping grown men and grown women in the country. You know,
ASHFORD, you remember that some of us were afraid for a while to go to Liberia because we were strong critics of the government.
Mhm.
So that was just recently when we were labeled enemies of the state. That's why I told people like I was a fierce critic of the George Weah administration before anything else. And this is all we remember. And the country deserves this, man. Regardless of what your beliefs are politically, I'm not going to be in denial. The people were ready for George Weah to walk away, to leave. Yeah, so I know.
ASHFORD, one of the things I did during an interview was I effectively communicated and enlightened people on the robust success of the pro-poor agenda. That the pro-poor agenda was so effective that it created poverty in Liberia never reached before. It created destitution in Liberia that Liberia had never achieved. So when you have someone who can truly craft an agenda like that, I mean, what else do you expect? What else do you expect? So, you know, when the leadership comes into office and they broadcast and they sell and they project that they are what? They are pro-poor. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Because the message was already sent that we're here not to lift people out of poverty. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And if you remember, Samuel 12 finally confessed, and I did an interview on last Friday, and I said that the disappointment I had with Samuel 12 finally coming to the altar and, you know, saying hallelujah and finding the light, that electricity was a fundamental thing that they should have done to create jobs and stimulate the economy, was that he didn't do it at the Forkecon Church. He did it at G.W. Gibson when he was telling the young people them there. Okay. Right? You remember that?
Yeah.
He confessed it there. He went to ELBC, and I dealt with him on that ELBC interview because he finally confessed. He didn't want to acknowledge that we had exposed them, because the plan was to hide the Transco project for their second term, to say that they were the ones that did the project. So they never wanted anyone to know about Transco. Here it is today, the managing director of LEC. He's in Ghana tonight collecting an award from the Ghanaian energy sector. And he kept his own country in darkness. I figured that one out.
Thank you, guys.
That dude is a joker. Now he got to something. That dude is a bigger, from foreign minister to head of LEC. How low can you go?
You open a can warm. I answered that quickly. It wouldn't take long. It wouldn't take long.
We got to go.
Yeah.
We out of time.
The man came on the closing argument.
We're here talking about girls a new day.
Foreign minister to head of LEC.
Yeah. The man comes on the closing argument. And I asked him, he said to create a job. I said, sir, can you direct me to anything that shows data that shows the amount of job you've created, anything in there? He said, I'm not going to lie to you. We don't have it. I just gave up.
I mean, I'm scared, man.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things you guys said, I'm gonna say, and I really like when Eugene Nambwe said they were so sure they were winning, and then he said, we are only going to hire seditionists. We're not going to hire anybody from UP. It was scary. It was scary. So can you imagine what would have happened for the second term of George Weahs? It's sad.
No team has bad plan. Yeah. And that's why the Lord destroyed the plan.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible calls itself.
Hey, I forgot what happened to. If anybody think they will come here and take the thing that we fought so hard for, you are mistaken. You are mistaken.
Entitlement.
Nothing lasts forever.
Who said that?
Nothing lasts forever.
Gucci clown. Jefferson
we were protected
and listen, folks. Listen, you know, tenure positions, like civil servant position. This guy came and literally taking people from the sea. That my office did. They offered for me, taking guns to people's homes and said, "Don't you come here again? This is not your job."
Imagine?
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you can imagine how the 6 year was going to be if they have.
Exactly. If you perform like that in your first
you know,
year,
America, Liberia has always been this prostitute. You
do
this into Liberia. At the end of the day, some people die in the streets in Liberia.
You feel so because we're talking about your cars.
I don't know. You see, my take on this is like this. Pastor Marshall will agree with me. There was a time in the scripture where the people of Israel demanded a king. And they were warned and advised and said, you don't want a king. They said, no. God, you don't know what we want. No, we want a king. And you remember what George used to be called before?
Mm-hmm.
King George.
King George. Oh, what
That's
happened
exactly
to
right.
doctor?
So what this process was allowed to happen so Liberians can get in not only an understanding, but to get an enlightenment and an appreciation
Yes.
of the price of
Mhm.
ignorance.
Mhm.
Okay. So the next time you see this thing, you hear this thing, or you detect this thing, you make sure it does not come anywhere close to saying they want to run for president.
Yes.
So it's important to look at. I'm thinking. I mean, it's important to look at this from. I love the scripture I've been telling everybody is always Isaiah 60 verse 1. The light have come. Arise and shine, like
And shine.
the light has come.
Yes.
The Gentiles will come to our light,
Yeah.
and their kings will come what? To our rising.
But how you preaching better than how you preaching better than fucking clown?
That's just what's gonna happen. When you're supposed to be the finance minister and you behave as if you are the information minister, people don't even know the functions. You're supposed to be a lawmaker, then you come and as if you're the spokesman for the government. And I know the thing will stay in 2023.
But that's what happens. That's the confirmation that when God is working, his only key thing is to what? To confuse and create chaos.
No job
among them.
description.
That's it. So
and you can't mock God because that's what they did in what fucking
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Thank you so much. And so
you're in the traffic because you feel that you're the president's girlfriend. You take the opposite lane and run as if you own the damn country. That nonsense has got to stop.
Because in the absence, you see, one thing you've got to understand about Liberia, right? The reason why flunkies, I call them flunkies, I'm sure Emeka will agree with me. You got a bunch of guys who are flunkies. They cannot be anything else, anywhere else, except in Liberia. Why? Because when you don't have, again, I go back to electricity. You see, for us who live in a developed nation, we take electricity for granted. We take it for granted.
Yep.
But I lived in Houston a couple of years ago. We had a freeze here. We had a freeze.
Yep.
This city turned into a chaotic place. They had sheriff deputies in front of the Walmart. People were only allowed one loaf of bread. The convenience stores, there was chaos because all the power substations froze. This is a developed, because people
on this electricity too.
People turn to zombies.
I beg you, man. We'll do this another time. I beg you. We got to go. Thank you so much, guys.
Well, you know, we should have been here. You call us here tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Gucci said we can have 30 more minutes.
No, thank you. I beg you. You're good night,
But guys, it's always good. It's always good talking to you guys. It was very educational. And I hope to speak with learned minds like you guys on here tonight. Very brilliant.
I put my number there in my website.
Let's connect. Let's connect.
Yes, most definitely. And Duke, thank you for supporting us. Thank you. For Liberia.
Look, I sent a friend request.
Okay, absolutely. That's fine. Gentlemen, we started this journey in 2017, so that's fine. It's not new to me. Appreciate it.
And actually, next time I'm forgetting, don't put Breach Radio over my head, man.
So I saw you.
Yeah, he did it to me.
I saw you rescue Breach. Damn it, the ball there, Babati Bene.
I know you're not talking to my boss.
I will deal with him. I don't want to deal with him.
Good night, guys. Ain't one company got it tonight.